What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well. Today we're going to run a little science experiment out here in the deep desert involving flower sand. Boy, is that ever exciting. Let's get to it. So, what I want to do is compare the results of harvesting flower sand in the deep desert versus Hagga. So, I'm going to match what I do when I'm in Hagga Basin. I use an omni-static compactor when I'm back in Hagga. I could be using the compact compactor. It's less worm aggro, right around the same. It's got the extreme rate versus very high. Historically speaking, I didn't have too many compact compactors, and I usually saved them for spice, but now we're using our crawler for spice. And I've got several of these blueprints, so I really should be using it, but I wanted to match what I'd had before. And we're also going to be wearing a still suit, and I always do wear the Idaho soft step boots whenever I'm going out and stepping in the sand, whether it's Hagga or the deep desert. So that's the loadout we have. It's pretty standard, and we're going to see how it goes. Now, it's been a long time since I've harvested up some flower sand. I remember back in the day when there were a couple spots in Hagga that were completely out of the worm zone. And they announced that they were going to be getting rid of those because they kind of wanted some danger involved in this. So I loaded up in the week or two before it went away. But we are starting to get a little low on our sources. So what I did was I came out here, found a patch, got my gear, and I'm just doing 2 shots per. What I want to see is how long is it going to take me to aggro a sandworm. In Hagga, it can happen pretty quickly, even more so because of all the drum sand out there. But we're going to speed this up. You don't need to see this part. But yeah, I wanted to basically just push this until I got worm sign and had to get up in the air. So we just did the 2 shots, kept moving through this field, and eventually we're going to get our wish. But as far as the timing, it seems to me that it was a much slower aggro out here in the deep desert than it was in Hagga. Of course, take out the drum sand spots and etc. But it did seem to take a little bit longer to summon a worm than it did when I normally do this back in the basin. This guy got a little crazy here. He's breaching the sand. I've got a storm coming in, so there are some definite things that you deal with out here that you don't deal with in Hagga. But let's take a look that I was able to hit this field. I was able to get just over 2,000 sand before I had to take to the air, which it's not all that bad. With the gear I was wearing, I had about 970 sand that I could pull before I had to drop it off in the thopter, and was able to do that twice, and then actually had a little bit extra pick up. So as we continued, we got a little more brazen here, and I started firing off 3, sometimes 4 shots, just to see, what effect that was going to have. Excuse me. One thing I did notice is whenever I harvest a spice field by hand, I like to get every single bit of it. I just want to be thorough, and especially on a resource that's valuable. But with the flower sand, this was a waste of a shot. I barely got any in that hit. So what I would suggest for you to do is when you're flying up to these, you can see them. Here you'll see there's some pretty concentrated patches. And that's what I would focus on if I were you. Just get the concentrated spots and then move on. There's surprisingly a lot of flower sand out here in the deep desert, so you shouldn't be too hard-pressed to find some. Stop sliding. But yeah, you shouldn't be too hard-pressed to find some good patches for it. And it doesn't take long at all to fill up your inventory and be transferring it over to your thopter. Now, I also started to adopt my standard spice policy here with I would end up firing off enough to get my first transfer. Once it says backpack full, I would come over, I'd drop it in, I'd go pick up anything that I'd already fired off, maybe grab a few more depending on how long it's been. But before we got Shy Halud to pop up, I would go ahead and take to the air and just reset that aggro bar. Usually I was able to clear these heavy concentrated parts, and it was time to kind of move a little bit anyway, so it worked out real well. But just by controlling just a couple shots, and then get taken to the air to reset aggro. The worm sign that you saw, the summon that I did earlier, that was the only time they ever showed up. So I was able to keep them off me. And I think we did this for about a half hour. We did have to run and hide because the storms were coming in. So we did do that. But overall, we were able to get, now I've got 1,000 queued up here to make, and I've still got enough to do another 4,000 just off of that one run. I didn't even fill up the Thopter at that point. And it doesn't take much water at all to make these. So it's not a resource heavy type of production. And what I would suggest you do with this, if you're going to do it out here in the deep desert, is this is something that you queue up when you don't have anything else going on. I'm out here getting Plastanium and, of course, spice. But if I don't have any spice, the Plastanium's running. I don't need to make strontium fibers. That chemical refinery is not doing anything. So you know what? We'll throw in 1,000 silicone blocks. Let it make that. It's a pretty good use of your time, because there are quite a few times that I've just got this thing sitting here. It's not doing anything while I'm waiting for materials to convert over. But yeah, it's still a crappy task. It's not one that I really enjoy, and I'll usually hammer out as many as I can stand as far as silicone blocks, and then we'll just cruise on along until the next time it becomes an issue. But if you do need them, I would say this is the better way to do it. Less aggro, great results, easy to transport, and it's a good filler for when your machines are doing other things. So that's my advice for you guys. But just wanted to put a quick video out, a little bit of a science test, and give you my opinion. So thank you very much, and as always, I will see you out there. Take care.